You're listening to the Connecticut Real Estate Edge podcast, your source for tips and tricks on building wealth through real estate in Connecticut. You will get the best techniques from leading local experts in real estate and lending. Now, here's your host, Robert Weinberg.
Welcome, everyone. Another episode of Connecticut Real Estate Edge. I have a really special guest on with us today, Mr. Cameron Norfleet of Trinia Real Estate. Did I pronounce it right?
It's Trinia, but it's
Trinia. Okay. So the reason Cameron's a special guest is because, number one, the guy's a real estate guru, specifically Connecticut real estate, and he's known as the investor's realtor. He works with a lot of real estate investors. So that's the reason why he's a true asset to this program. But more importantly, Cameron was one of the first guests on the podcast 5-6 years ago. So this is his second appearance now with us. We brought him back because he's a great guy. He knows what he's talking about, and he's in demand. And specifically, what I'm talking about is information right now and what we're going to be covering in today's episode. This is an impromptu topic because this is just unfolding right now. It's literally 1 week ago. The NAR lawsuit got settled. Big news. Number one thing going on right now in real estate. It is the headline. So with that said, a lot of people are talking about how the sky is falling. A lot of people are talking about how real estate will never be the same. And a lot of people out there, even some gurus, are talking about how home buyers will be harmed and really don't have a chance anymore. It's going to be almost impossible for a lot of people to buy homes. I disagree with that 100%. And I think you do too. And in this episode, that's what we're going to unpack is how does this NAR lawsuit affect home buyers? We don't care how it affects realtors, lenders, everyone else. They're making money off of these transactions. I'm talking about the home buyer, the one that really matters, and the listener of our show here today. So Cameron, again, thanks for coming on with us, and let's kick this thing off, okay?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. So what I want to really start out with is talking about you providing us with an in-depth explanation of the lawsuit, the settlement that happened with the National Association of Realtors, and take that one step further by talking about the implications to home buyers.
Right. So basically the National Association of Realtors, aka NAR, they were in a lawsuit, along with some other like larger brokerages. They were also in the lawsuit, but NAR recently put out a settlement proposal. Just so you know, it's not finalized as of yet, but it's a proposal for a settlement as of the recording of this podcast. Whereas they agreed to pay $418 million in the settlement. And part of the agreement would be that they are decoupling the buyer broker commissions and the listing broker commissions. So just to give a little bit of history with that, historically what has happened is that a seller and a buyer and a listing agent would come together and make an agreement to say the broker is going to be paid X amount of commission, okay, and then that out of that commission, the buyer's agent would also be compensated from those same proceeds. Okay, so what this agreement aims to do is to decouple that. So now going forward, the buyer's agent will not be compensated out of those commissions. That's really the biggest thing that's coming out of this. How does that affect home buyers? Well, that affects home buyers in that they will likely now, after this is settled, if it's settled in the same way that this settlement agreement puts it out to be, the buyers will have to pay their own agent. Okay, and that's pretty much how it affects home buyers. With that said, your better agents that are out there are right now coming up with strategies, all right, to lessen that impact on home buyers. So I feel like it's not something to really worry about. Things will be different, okay? Things will be different in some respects. But does it make home buying unattainable? Not at all. it will be different than it has been, but it will not be unattainable. So I wouldn't necessarily worry about it so much.
Okay. So a couple questions or little scenarios that come in my mind on that is, if you have the right agent, the right team negotiating for you, couldn't your agent as a home buyer negotiate that commission to be paid by the seller?
100%. 100%.
Okay. So again, business as usual, right? Business as usual.
Yes.
We talk a lot about this program, about a wealth team, about the impact of having the right team. And a lot of agents, I think a lot of people in our industry had taken for granted that, hey, we get, as a real estate professional, you would get paid X amount. There's like a customary commission, 4%, 6%, whatever, right? Now that's been really questioned. That's been challenged by everyone, by society with this settlement. So I think it's going to be more important moving forward, 2024 and beyond, to have the right agent, the right team. I think you're going to have a lot of people get out of the industry that just shouldn't have been here in the beginning, shouldn't have ever been here, that were just here for the guaranteed money, the easy money, right? So that's my response back. I guess my question for you would be, this whole settlement coming about, how does it promote fairness? Why was the other way looked at as unfair? Why does it need to change, or why did it for this to come out?
Well, so honestly, I don't know if I would say that it promotes fairness in any way that it wasn't fair before. I do feel that like prior to this settlement, things were fair. I believe that going forward, things will still be fair, but again, in some respects, it will be different. Okay. So the way that I see this is that we're coming to we're going to the same destination. We're just taking a different path. Like you said, the seller can still pay the buyer's agent's commission, right? It's not going to be listed on the MLS that the buyer's agent will receive X amount of percentage. That's not going to happen anymore. So there will have to be another way. If you want for the seller, if you're a buyer and you want for the seller to pay your agent's commission, then you just have to be a little bit more creative, and simply ask. Ask, will you pay my buyers my agent's commission?
Let me break that down for a second, because I think a lot of buyers, they're confused about who pays the commissions and how all that works, right? So let's dive in a little bit deeper to that. So when you're a home buyer, the commission that your realtor makes historically had been built in to the total commission paid, right? So when the seller lists their house and signed a listing agreement, they would say that they were going to pay a certain percentage, for example, 4%, right? That commission percentage would then be split with both agents, a buyer's agent and a seller's agent. Now, question is, was it always split 50-50, or is it sometimes 60-40, right? So there was already a little bit of leeway in negotiation there. But I think it was more of a gimme, as we say. It's a gimme that the realtor is just going to show up, bring a buyer, and make 2-3% for doing, maybe in some cases, little work, no work, right? And that's what, again, society, I think, has been bringing up for a while. And now this lawsuit has brought it to a legal level, a level where it's going to change. Because I know that this commission structure in the real estate industry, it's been like this for many, 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 many decades. I don't know if it's since the beginning of time, but it is, as far as I've been in over 22 years, it's always been like this, right? So this is going to change the status quo. This is definitely going to change the way that things are done. But I think it's more going to change who you work with. It's more going to change who you trust, right? Because if you trust the right people and you have the right people and you know the right people, then I think as a home buyer, it's going to be business as usual. And if it's not, you might want to challenge your team. Maybe make some changes, maybe make some replacements, right? So that leads me to our next question, which is the key changes and the key reforms. I think the number one that I heard you say, and the only one that I know of, is this MLS compensation. So the MLS is the multiple listing service where properties are placed to show that they're on the market, right? It's the public listing service that real estate professionals can use to list properties and see properties online, right? So that MLS used to show the commission that the buyer's agent would make. Now it's not going to show that commission. Maybe there'll be another website that shows it, or maybe there'll be some sort of code that's put in that nobody knows that you put into an app that tells you what the commission's going to be, right? But it's not listed on there explicitly, right? So besides that, Cameron, what else is in this lawsuit, or what else is in this settlement, or is that it?
I mean, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing. There's a few, smaller frivolous things, but that's definitely the biggest thing in this lawsuit. And like I said, for the most part, everything is going to be business as usual. It's going to be business as usual. I do believe that when and if, I'll just say when, because it's going to happen. When this happens, I believe that there will be a little blip in the market. And that's just people getting readjusted, but after everything is smoothed out, it's gonna be the same as it always has for the most part.
Okay. So potential challenges for home buyers, obstacles home buyers might face in the face of this. And I think the context is that, as we're talking about, if you've got a certain arrangement, a certain caliber of professional, I don't think this is going to be a challenge. And I'm hearing that from you too. This shouldn't be an obstacle. I think the people that you're hearing out there that are saying it will be, and that are insinuating that it's going to be a problem, are going to be the ones that it is a problem. It's kind of like the self-fulfilling prophecy, right? But assuming that our listeners are working with an agent that maybe is new, novice, or doesn't know how to navigate this, and then they're being told as a home buyer, you need to pay your realtor commission, right? You need to pay a realtor, a real estate agent now, an amount that you wouldn't have had to pay them 6 months ago, a year ago. So that harms home buyers, right? That's an obstacle for home buyers. Do you see agents already talking about, like, is that what we're talking about here? Is an agent that doesn't feel comfortable negotiating their commission saying up front, hey, if I'm going to work with you, you're going to have to pay me $500 to go show you homes, or you're going to have to pay me a 1% commission when I find you a home at the closing, and it's going to be you that pays me that. Is that what you see?
I am seeing that. That and a lot more. I see a lot of just worry in general amongst real estate agents, because I'm in plenty of different Facebook groups and different groups and things of that nature. So a lot of real estate agents are really concerned about this, and rightfully so, because it's changed. People just don't adapt very well to change. But so here's the thing. I would not say that no buyer is going to end up paying their real estate agent out of pocket. I'm not going to say that. Mm-hmm. That is an option. You have to understand that you have options. Paying your real estate agent is an option. Asking the seller for a concession, and asking them to pay your realtor, that is an option. Okay, so what you want to do when you are interviewing real estate agents to possibly work with is ask them these questions. Okay, what are my options to as far as paying you? Now, if their only option is, well, you have to pay me X amount out of pocket, if that's the only option that they offer you, you may want to consider interviewing other agents as well. Okay, but the thing is, you have options. And I do think that it's important to educate yourself even prior to getting into the market, prior to actually starting the process of looking for a home. Educate yourself on those options that you may have, so that when you do end up interviewing your agents, you actually have an idea of what you're talking about as well. And you can ask those leading questions that you already know the answers to, so that you can tell if this is somebody that actually knows what they're talking about. You want to work with someone that knows how to negotiate. So to work with a brand new agent, I mean, everybody has to start from somewhere, right? But I mean, you have to understand that if you're working with a brand new agent, you want to know what type of training does this agent have in negotiating. Okay. If they are experienced, then hopefully they have a lot of experience with negotiating. But negotiating is key when it comes to this, because not only are they negotiating, how they are going to be compensated, they're negotiating to try to get you the best price on the property as well. So there's a lot of negotiating that goes into this. So that's something that you want to make sure that's an asset that you want to make sure that your agent has before you select them to represent you in any type of transaction.
Okay. So what I'm hearing you say is experience matters now more than ever with a real estate
100%.
agent. And as I mentioned earlier, I think you're going to see a lot of the smaller agents, the newer agents, get out of the business because it's not a guaranteed commission anymore. It's not, you're going to make X amount. You might sell a $500,000 home as an agent and only make $1,000 now. You might, like, that's a possibility. And I think for a lot of people getting into the real estate industry, that doesn't sound like the old adage of get in and make your 2%, make your 3%, right? That's what the real estate community was brought up with. That's what the real estate community was taught, right? And that's how everyone was bred coming up through the ranks. So that has shifted. And I think also alluding to what you said is interviewing now an agent is so much more important than it ever was. These are questions that you didn't have to ask before. And if you're not asking them now, you're going to have a bad experience because these are things that are going to come up at the last minute. Much like I would almost call this similar to what happened in the mortgage industry, after the last crisis, housing bust, mortgage industry got completely decimated. Our commissions got cut in half back then. Okay. Now it's happening on the other side. But back then too, you didn't get disclosure ahead of time on like what your closing costs would be. So people would show up and go, wait, I thought I only needed $10,000, but it says here I need $14,000. I didn't know that. And all that would happen at the last minute. And I feel like because the government as of now is not regulating realtor commissions, they're not. There's no consumer financial protection for real estate agents. It's only for mortgage companies and finance companies now. But I think that's got to be done. There needs to be disclosure because otherwise I think what's going to happen is you're going to have people show up to closing and go, wait, I need to pay my realtor $2,000. I didn't realize, and maybe there's a document in there that says it, but much like in other industries, it comes down to the professional, the team you're working with. Did they disclose it? Were they transparent? Did they make it happen for you? That's really where we're at, right? So can you speak to that?
Yeah, so I do believe that, as with anything else that you're buying, you want to know how much it's going to cost. As with any other service that you may be provided with, you want to know how much that it costs. So I will say that a good real estate agent should definitely tell you that up front. But even if they don't, that's a question that you're going to want to ask, because again, so historically, the buyer has not really been used to paying out of pocket for the real estate agent. So I understand that may be a question that people may not be used to asking, but going forward, you're going to want to ask that question because it's that much more important. So as with your loan, you're gonna want to know how much it's going to cost you, how much you need to bring to the table, and so on and so forth. If you are paying your real estate agent out of pocket, you want to know how that's going to be structured. Am I paying this? Am I giving you X amount up front as a flat fee? Is everything just going to be paid at closing? If I don't close, and do I still owe you any money because you showed me houses? Like all of these things that you're going to want to discuss and totally understand, how this is going to play out for you, how much this service is going to cost you. So just, I would just say to all the buyers out there, make sure that you understand in great detail how this is going to play out for you, how much this is going to cost you.
And I would actually say on the back of that, if I'm a buyer and I'm tight on money, I am specifically looking to work with experienced agents that specialize 100%. In first-time buyers that will hold my hand, that have the track record, because they are going to understand and know how to negotiate their commission into the deal, meaning seller paid, okay? Right. That's the only way it's going to work, because I work with a lot of down payment assistance buyers. I work with a lot of FHA, conventional VA, people putting 0 down, 3.5, 3%. putting an extra couple thousand into the deal, now they can't buy a house, right? That it is literally make it or break it. So with that being said, you got to make sure the agent that you're going to work with is going to negotiate their commission in. If they can't, then you may not be able to buy a home. So just get that out there up front. And if you've got an agent that's going to require that you pay them 1%, 2%, whatever the number is, and you don't have that money, well, then you need to find another agent. Okay. Working with them is no option. All right. So let's put that out there. And I know nobody wants to say it. That's the truth. All right. So to wrap up here, you mentioned something earlier about home prices dipping. You mentioned something earlier about a market shift, a market change as a result of this. I know a lot of people out there are waiting for interest rates to go down. They're waiting for home prices to go down. Either one of those, they're back in the game. What do you see? How much do you see? When do you see this occurring? What opportunities do our buyers have to take advantage?
So, all right. So let me just start by saying this. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen. All I have and all everyone else has is speculation. Okay. Based on data that we have. All right. So with that said, what I could foresee happening is that once this comes to fruition, I feel like there's going to be, everyone's going to be trying to figure this out. And so with that, I do believe that there's a good possibility that we will see a slight dip in prices because activity may slow down for a little bit. And when I say for a little bit, I'm saying if this takes place in July, I would say probably August until the end of the year or so, we may see a slight dip because activity will dip because the narrative out there is that buyers are going to have to come out of pocket with thousands and thousands of dollars extra, more than they were before. And so that will keep people on the sidelines. Once things start to kind of level out and we realize, oh, we can do this, we can do that. Like we have these options, we have those options, then they'll come back in the market and things will recover and life will just be life what life has been up until this point.
So what I'm hearing is that there's going to be a lot of uninformed buyers. They're not listening to this. They don't understand. Sure. They are thinking, I need to come up with a lot more money than I may actually need to buy a home. So they're going to get out of the market. They're either not going to get pre-approved. They're not going to renew their pre-approval. They're just going to get on the sideline and stop looking, right? Then ultimately, the media, the industry, it's going to be, I would almost liken it to COVID, the beginning of COVID. The sky was falling. Real estate froze for what, a month, 3 weeks? I mean, there was no showings. There was no nothing because no one knew what was going on. Prices did dip. They did dip significantly, very quickly, but it was only the people that had the foresight to step in and buy those properties. They are looking very, very good right now, okay? Right. Because what happened was just a few months later, we had a real estate boom, okay? Mm-hmm. And for a few months before that boom, it looked like a true bust. It looked like we were going to have a huge real estate crash, but we didn't. And here we are, and everyone that had the foresight to buy back then looks like a rock star right now. So I would say to our listeners, if you have that confidence, that motivation as a listener here, that is your shining time. Don't be afraid. When everyone's saying the sky is falling, that's your time to get your team. That's your time to get into battle because we will help you win. We've done it before. We'll do it again. So wrapping up here, what I want to do is, Cameron, as such a local expert in Connecticut, I know you work with investors. I know you work with first timers. You work with people relocating here, investing from out of state. Tell everyone how they can reach out to you if they want your expertise and your collaboration in their home buying process.
Sure thing. So I'll say first, you can email me. That's Cameron@Triniyah.com. Cameron is Cameron. Triniyah is Triniyah. So you can email me. You can go to my Instagram, and my Instagram is just my name, at Cameron Norfleet. You can go to my website. That is CameronNorfleet.com. Plenty of ways to contact me. You can just Google me and find a way to contact me. I'm I'm all over the interwebs. So
that's what you want, guys. You want a realtor that's prominent locally reputation matters when you're putting in an offer. Like, you look at it and go, who's that realtor? But then you have someone that's got that local presence. People know the name. Hey, they know that there's credibility there. So that's the real thought and the seed I want to plant with everyone, is using this opportunity to strengthen your personal team, using this opportunity to work with the best caliber professionals. Real estate now, I feel like more than ever, can be likened to other industries, even like medical, because having someone with the credentials, with the market share, right, with the local presence, the reputation, is going to matter more because of this settlement, because of this lawsuit and the repercussions of it, than it ever did before. So for everyone that's looking for that guidance, Cameron is great on the real estate side. As always, I'm happy to help put together that financial blueprint for you when it comes to your pre-approval, whether you're a first-timer, investor, whatever. There's so many loans, so many options out there. Reach out. Let's do that. Let's put that together. Let's get you to where you need to be. And let's create not only a great wealth team to get you into the home, but let's create legacy, right? Let's create long-term wealth for you and your family. So I hope this has given everyone some motivation. I hope it's given you confidence to move forward in the current market, because I know there's a lot of confusion out there. Cameron, I want to thank you again for taking your time out to be here. And this is Robert Weinberg signing off. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for listening. If you have questions about the information we've covered or would like to discuss mortgage financing for your situation, you can reach Robert Weinberg by visiting www.robgw.com.